These comments aren't necessarily the dialogue that you hear on YouTube's or through marketing of different companies such as Reformation. There seems to be a huge need for not just thrift store shopping, but for repurposing items to be used again. And there's a lot of reasons why this can be so beneficial for individuals and for companies. But one of the reasons that I think is just so necessary for repurposing and thrift flipping isn't necessarily the economical reason of repurposing goods and services so that we're not using natural resources more and discarding old garments, although that is a great reason. But I think that one of the best reasons to thrift flip and repurpose things is because of budgets. And if you can repurpose some items for mittens or hats, or for taking a shirt that might have a hole in it and repairing it, or taking it to a tailor where you might just spend a couple dollars as opposed to just getting rid of it and buying new, you can save so much money that way. And I think that's really necessary for our economy as a whole, just to not spend so much. 100 years ago was almost 100 years ago was the Roaring 20's, and people got into spending so much money during that decade that they got into so much debt that caused a great amount of the Great Depression, because banks and people weren't able to pay back the debt, and the money that they were spending they didn't have. So I think that is one of the biggest reasons why thrift flipping is so important and really vital for individuals, for families. Whether you make a little bit, whether your income is small or whether your income is large, it doesn't matter how much you make. You can spend how much ever you make. So the importance of thrift flipping and being thrifty with your day-to-day life, whether that's with a shirt or maybe making some Christmas gifts. Another reason why thrifting is so great and thrift flipping is so great, a lot of people push the save the planet mindset, but there's also other reasons like saving money, and a second one is you have a greater appreciation for what you have. If you go out and you buy new stuff all the time and your closet is continually filled with new tags items, then having garments, you don't have a great appreciation for those clothing pieces like people do maybe in third world countries, where they're so thankful and so grateful for a pair of shoes or for a new shirt or even a sweater or a pair of mittens or a hat. It's amazing to see how greatly these things are appreciated when you don't have a constant influx of new garments coming into your closet. And when you are able to take something that might be damaged without, maybe it doesn't have a button or maybe it has a hole in it, and you're able to repair it, then you're able to put more wear into it. But then also, if you do get a new garment, you're a lot more thankful for it and you have a greater understanding and appreciation for that piece. I know in America that whole mindset might not even make sense, but when you don't have something and then you get something that you haven't had, you often have a greater appreciation for that. And that's one reason why I also love thrift flipping and shopping at thrift stores. Even though I love the pieces that I get at the thrift store, if I buy something new, then I have such a great appreciation for it, and I want to take care of that piece so it doesn't get damaged, and so I don't just want to get rid of it right away. It allows me to shop for pieces, if I do shop new with tags, that I really have an understanding of what I like and what I'm going to use for the long term, as opposed to just buying something from a fast fashion retailer that I might have it for a few weeks and then I get rid of it. And that's not the mindset that I want to have. I want to have a piece for a long period of time before getting rid of it. These comments aren't necessarily the dialogue that you hear on YouTube's or through marketing of different companies such as Reformation. Yes, the economical reasons of repurposing items are great, but most people don't talk about the appreciation that you would have for these pieces if they are repaired, or if that is a treasure from a thrift store. Or when you get that new tag item, it's not an everyday oh, I'm able to go buy a shirt, or I can buy whatever I want from Amazon, but you have a greater appreciation for those items when you're thrift store shopping and when you're thrift flipping. Overall, I think that's a really great mindset to have in your day-to-day life with all aspects of your life, is just having a good understanding and appreciation for what you have. And it can start with clothes. Another perspective for thrift flipping and thrift store shopping is that I think it draws people who have more of a creative mindset into that thrift flipping and thrift store shopping, because when you're in that creative mindset, you think of the future of that garment and what potential it has. That shirt might not be quite the style that you like. Maybe you can imagine it as a headband or a bag or some other type of garment that you can flip it into. The creativity kind of gets triggered, and you can start seeing pieces as their potential rather than just junk and garbage. You can see, oh, this is going to be a great, this basket is going to be a great lamp, or this frame would be awesome if it was painted. And you almost see those creative juices start to flow when you go with someone to the thrift store. I always look for the potential in pieces, especially if it's a good material like cashmere. I love picking up cashmere because I know how expensive of a material it is, or silk, and I love feeling the silk and feeling the cashmere and thinking about the potential of that piece, not necessarily in the form that it's in, but as maybe a different form. I personally have bought items from the thrift store before that I have been so excited about the item, and I've gotten it home to realize that there's some holes in it, there's something wrong with it, and that's when I store it away in a bin and I keep it for creating something out of that. And a lot of times I just love considering what it could be and thinking about the materials, since I have I have a bin of different materials that I've kept aside for recreating into something else. And I love going through that bin and putting patterns or colors together and materials to see what I can create and what looks good together. And I know that this is part of what most factories and companies do who create garments. They have a team of people that go through colors and patterns to create a new line of clothing. And that's essentially what I do with all of the old items that I find, or maybe that have a hole in them. I go through and I think about what would look good together, what materials go well together, what do I like personally, and then I can create an item out of those materials. So many people make a living off of doing this, whether that's on Etsy or Poshmark or eBay or other sites where they take garments and maybe they just sell them as they are. A lot of times, especially on Etsy, they take pieces of furniture or garments and they redo it to make it a better quality item or a different piece that might be a little bit more modern. For Christmas a few years ago, I went through my bin of sweaters that I've been keeping for recreating into other things, and I made a few stockings out of them. This year with my baby girl, I made her a stocking by taking different pieces and sewing them together to make a stocking for her. It's higher quality than something that could have been made on a machine with lower quality materials. Having that cashmere and the cotton and the silks and the velvets, they all they can combine into such a beautiful piece that's perfect for me and what I like, and I love being able to create something that I love. And then this brings me to another point that I would love to see going forward, especially with my generation and generations behind me, that is kind of lost, I think, with my generation currently, and that is a skill or a trade or a certain niche of craftsmanship that isn't really seen in my generation. A lot of people my age have a degree or they have a job that they might have some skills that are pretty broad and that a lot of people have, but I would love to see more trades and skills and craftsmanship in my generation and then in the generations behind me, like sewing or building or recreating or metalworking or woodworking. All of those skills are so vital for thrift flipping or and when I say thrift flipping, I'm not necessarily talking about just clothing materials, but you can also thrift flip furniture and frames and wood pieces and metal pieces. If you apply yourself just for a few hours, even on YouTube, you can learn some of those skills and those trades, and as you work at them, you can get better and better. And then as you learn these skills and these trades, you are able to have a deep appreciation for other people who might do the same thing, or people who are really skilled at it. And I think going forward that is something that we could all put a little more time and effort into, is developing a trade or a skill. And with YouTube and the internet, we can pretty much learn whatever trade or skill that we want to learn. So if I could challenge anyone who's watching this video to take a few hours and try to learn a little bit more of a skill or a trade, or go to a thrift store and get those creative juices flowing to where you start seeing the potential in pieces, and maybe spend a few dollars and try your hand at repurposing an item. Especially with winter coming up, one of the easiest things you can do is just buy a sweater and maybe make some mittens out of it, or go to a thrift store and repurpose an old picture frame. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, please give it a like down below. And if you'd like to be notified of my content when I upload it, please click the subscribe button and the bell notification down below. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye, friends!